What up, though? It's your boy, Mr. CEO, in the building. Y'all ready for championship week? I got my ski glasses on, man, because all season we've been skiing straight to the window. And I got the champ chain around my head because I'm just a champ, man. I'm just a champ. Oh, it's just me today. Don't worry about it. We still got the CEO notes coming for you. We got some bets coming. And let's hope we can stay the hottest show on the planet. Let's jump to that week 14 recap. Of course, GMB solo bets 2-1. The GMB parlay, it didn't hit. It went 2-1. But remember, I said we scored a parlay with the individual bets as solo bets, and we hit Ohio State University 10.5. Matter of fact, we hit Ohio State University -10 over Michigan. That boy was pretty easy. Seemed like it wasn't easy in the first half, but that second half came around and it did exactly what I thought it would do. Shout out to all y'all people who was on Michigan and thought they had a chance. So they'd have listened to CEO notes. They would have known they ain't had no chance, y'all. I'm glad y'all followed. Also, we cashed. This one was crazy, man. Bama was up by 20-0. I think 17-0 or something like that, and ended up winning by 7, but we still covered. In Georgia, I cannot believe Georgia ain't covered versus Georgia Tech, man. If you told me before the game that Georgia Tech was only going to score 9 points, you can't tell me y'all wouldn't have said that Georgia wasn't going to cover that real easy. I don't know what's going on. It got me a little scared about this week with Georgia. That offense looked terrible against a terrible, however you want to even call it. I don't even know what the language is. I was trying to say a little bit of accent. But, man, you can't do that against terrible Georgia Tech defense, man. You just can't. All right, let's jump in. Oh, matter of fact, 14 parlays cash for the season. Yes. Tell me another show. I want y'all to go and find another show that didn't cash 14 parlays in a season in 14 weeks. And if y'all go back and check, we got like 6 or 7 more that only missed by like 1. So we could have been on like 20. We got people struggling to go 20 solo bets, and we doing them in parlays. Man, Vegas ain't got nothing on us, man. What y'all got? We going to show the world what we got. Hopefully we can keep it going. First game, we got BYU at Texas Tech, over under 49.5. And, of course, these games on a neutral site, I just want to let y'all know and put neutral site just in case y'all new to the show, y'all don't really follow college like that, because some not all neutral sites. But I think that all the Big Four games that we have today, neutral sites, I tried to look at those small teams. I know some of y'all love the small teams as far as Tulane, Boise State. I tried to watch that film. Man, there's no defense being played. It's just people running up and down the field, teams losing to the worst team, beating the best team, man. We don't want to mess with that, man. We trying to get y'all to the window. First of all, I got my CEO notes right now, so I don't got Jay. Normally he'll kind of talk a little bit, you know what I'm saying, then it'll come to me. So I'm going to have to look away from the screen like I normally do. First, we got BYU. They looked like it was a sleepy spot versus a bad UCF team last week. Was down 14-0 to start the second quarter and was down and went on a 41-7 run the second through the fourth quarters. Not a lot of team speed on film. Will struggle versus any team with speed. Remind me of an Iowa team, you know what I'm saying, and that plays in the Big 12. Think of Iowa going into the Big 12. That's BYU. Not enough speed or talent to mess with any upper echelon teams. They actually played close to Oregon and I think played close to Indiana. It's hard to win in Iowa. If it was a playoff game, they had to go somewhere and play, they would probably get ran. They're not fast. They're not fast enough. Well, I'm actually confusing BYU with Iowa. So I meant like Iowa playing with the, you know how Iowa in the Big Ten played against the upper echelon teams, you know, like Indiana, and played against Oregon. It played them close, but just not good enough. That's similar to how BYU is what I really meant. So didn't mean to confuse all on that one. Just I was comparing and contrasting BYU and Iowa, but showing y'all how BYU fares to the top talent in the Big 12. Actually fared worse than the top talent in the Big 12 because Iowa at least played close to Oregon and Indiana. BYU actually got smoked by Texas Tech. Any team they play close to their level or below, they'll handle them. Got good defense, got great coaching. So we'll take that. And also, too, I didn't like the fact that they gave up 4 sacks versus UCF. UCF normally don't get pressure. And if you're giving up 4 sacks versus UCF, you can almost double that versus a Texas Tech team. Texas Tech team talent just is a cut above the Big 12. I tried to say it earlier in the year. It's funny because I talked to Jay off the film about 6-7 weeks ago. And I said, Texas Tech will win the Big 12 easy. And he called it a hot take. He's like, man, that's a hot take. Because at the time, I knew Texas Tech, how good they were, but most people didn't know. And now he said, do I want Texas Tech or the field? I was like, let me get Tech. He took the field. So I do accept his apology on that one because, yes, Texas Tech looks like it. Well, I'm not accept it now because if BYU does something crazy tomorrow, I'm going to look crazy. But if Texas Tech handle it like I think they will handle it, I will formally accept that apology. And we do think Texas Tech will at least get the win. We'll talk about the spread a little bit later. Texas Tech, they limit explosive plays and tackles well. So that's the thing about BYU. BYU loves to break tackles. They go methodically downfield. They're not a big play team. So if you got a team who eliminates big plays, there's a team who don't really do big plays, I think they can really keep them bottled up. I didn't like the fact that first game that BYU held Texas Tech to 5 field goals. I think there could be a little bit of regression positively for Texas Tech this game, and some of those field goals turn into touchdowns. But in this game, Tech 12.5 is a lot. I'm going to have Texas Tech in the money line. I do lean Texas Tech on that 12.5. I definitely lean that. If I had to bet it, I would bet that 12.5. I wouldn't touch BYU, y'all, because BYU, they can cover, possibly backdoor. But BYU can actually also get blown out. Like I said, they're too slow. Texas Tech is not the Ohio States. I don't think they're the Oregons and things like that, even though they got an elite D-line. But we will see. Let's jump on to this game. We got Georgia, 2.5-point favorite at Alabama, over under 48.5. Again, on a neutral site. This one is on turf. Might be a little bit more scoring than y'all think, so don't go and rush and jump in the under, even though we do have two real good defensive teams. Georgia defense looked elite versus a high-powered Georgia Tech offense has averaged 32 points per game prior, only scored 9 versus Georgia. Great run defense and tackles well. Offense had a poor showing versus a bad Georgia Tech defense, which we already talked about. Ran well to begin the game versus Georgia Tech, but after that, I don't know what happened. It slowed all the way up. Alabama has played close games all year. They don't create enough margin versus opposing teams. They always stand in games. I don't know about DeBoer. For some reason, he just do not like to blow out teams. They seem to have the talent on the offense. They got a good running back in Miller, got good 2 receivers. The quarterback they talking like he's going to be a top 5 pick. So I don't know if it's a coordinator or what, but Alabama should at least put up 30 and 40 more often, but they're always hanging around in the 20s. I have not been impressed with Bama offense all year, like I just said. Defense looked good, forcing multiple turnovers, but gave up explosive plays last week versus Auburn, which is crazy. How did Bama give up explosive plays versus Auburn, who scored 3 points versus Kentucky, who Kentucky gave up about 50 to Tennessee? Don't make no sense. Rivalry game, I'm going to just give them that. Should have held Auburn about 5 points. Will hard to beat a good Kirby Smith team. I think it would be hard to beat a good Kirby team 2 times in a season, although he is 2-0 versus Kirby. DeBoer is 2-0 versus Kirby. This game is difficult for me in the fact that Georgia don't get pressure. Bama don't get pressure. Bama plays well versus 11 personnel, which is Georgia runs 11 personnel with 2 tight ends a whole lot. Georgia running game, they do have a running game. Bama has a running game, even though Georgia's good against the run. But Bama has an elite secondary. Georgia, if y'all notice, Georgia's wide receivers are not great. Their wide receivers are not great. So this game, I'm kind of back and forth on it. Y'all going to see something on the art on this one. I think this can go either way. I think if I had to bet it, if you're going to give me a money line, I'm going to take Georgia. I just don't think Kirby Smart going to lose 3 times in a row to the same coach, same team. If y'all watched the game before, Georgia actually missed a wide open touchdown and went for 4th down. They catch that touchdown. They get that 4th down instead of missing it. They might have even beat Bama by a touchdown. I think Kirby gets it right this time. Bama, I think they can keep it close because Bama has a good defense. Also, Bama loves the forced turnovers. I watched it on film. They're one of the best, like stripping the ball from the other team. They do that great. So whoever running that drill in practice, give him props. Bama is very good at that. I would lean Georgia 2.5 on this one. I would love Georgia money line. This is going to be a real good game, y'all. All right, the next game, we got Indiana versus the Ohio State. Ohio State a -4-point favorite, over under 47.5. Another neutral site game. This one might look a little bit different as far as the crowd because it's in Indianapolis, and Indiana gonna have a lot of people there. I think Ohio State travels well. If they make the tickets like they should make the tickets, I think it should be probably 50-50. This game is another tough game, and the reason this is so tough is Ohio State just haven't played anybody all year. They haven't played one soul. At least you can say Indiana played Oregon. You can look at that game. They beat a good Oregon team. But Ohio State has not played one soul all year. And if y'all thought prior to this game that Michigan was a soul, Michigan is not a soul either. So the problem with this game is normally you want to have test games to see how good a team is. Ohio State first test game is going to be the conference championship game against Indiana. That's why this makes this one so hard. CEO notes on this one, offensive line showed the weakness versus Penn State front four and pressure. They were missing their number one wide receiver, so that could have slowed them down offensively. Indiana, two last-minute drives from losing this year to two inferior teams, Iowa and Penn State. What do y'all think y'all would think about Indiana if they came in this game losing to Iowa, losing to Penn State with two losses? Do y'all really think the spread would be 4 points? I don't think so. The defense also had trouble stopping Penn State run game. About to face the biggest test yet, a true step up in class versus Ohio State, both sides of the ball. But they did show well versus a good Oregon team, as we just spoke about. So that's something you can lean on with Indiana. And remember, for those of y'all who are new to this, my CEO notes is to give y'all tidbits if I do have them off film for both sides of the ball, because even though y'all might not make our bets, y'all can find some bets in these notes. I'm telling y'all, my people tell me all the time, they find overs, they find unders, they find props and everything, all in the notes. Y'all just got to listen. Ohio State handled the inferior Michigan team with ease. Offense and defense show well. No real weakness at this point in the season. The only weakness Ohio State had was their run game. I think per PFF, the last 5 games had 160 yards rushing. So with that dude, Bo Jackson, not the real Bo Jackson, whoever gave him that name and knew that their son was going to be a running back, shouts out to y'all. Indiana will be their first real test this year, as I just said. Per PFF, Ohio State, this is real key, y'all, and this is why I like Ohio State. Y'all see that a little bit later. One thing, Mendoza, he likes to turn the ball over. You saw he threw a pick 6 against Oregon. Also, Mendoza struggles the first man. Ohio State, per PFF, only run man around 30%. But do you think Ohio State going to be smart? Ohio State has the defensive backs to play man coverage. One thing about Indiana is a better team than Iowa. They're a better team than BYU, but they're also a team that doesn't have a lot of team speed. Their receivers are more like possession receivers. That can definitely hurt them against a team like Ohio State, who do have speed everywhere. Per PFF, this is what I love to bet. I love to back stuff like this. Another part of a CEO note, what I went to go find for y'all. Ohio State quarterback Julian Sand has been elite versus zone coverage. This year, he's been the best in the country, around 94%, a 94% grade. Indiana plays zone at the highest rate this year in the country, 90%. So if you tell me I have Julian Sand, my team is stacked all the way around, we solid. I have a run game now. I have two first-round NFL draft picks at receiver. I have a first or second-round draft pick at tight end. And I have a quarterback who's the best in the country versus what you run all the time. If I had anything on this one, I would love to roll with Ohio State, y'all. I wouldn't touch Indiana. If y'all want to maybe prop it up and give them some points, I think Ohio State might be far above a lot of these teams out here. This next game, Duke versus Virginia. Virginia 4-point favorite, over under 57.5. I don't have a lot on this one, not gonna lie to y'all. I was surprised how bad Duke defense is this year. I don't know what happened. I think it might have been a recruiting fault, but Manny Diaz is known as a defensive mastermind. He did it last year. He did it in his previous stops. This year, their secondary is horrendous. What he's known for is bringing the blitz. And since his secondary is so bad this year, it's kind of hard for you to dial up a blitz when your secondary is going to get burned because the blitz never going to get there. I watched the first game back. Virginia had one time almost in the red zone where they didn't convert on 4th down. Could have been 3 points, could have been 7. That didn't happen. Also, too, they threw an interception and was still up 31-3 when the fourth quarter started versus Duke. With that bad secondary and Virginia has speed at receiver. They did a good job of recruiting speed. Virginia has speed at receiver. I would say Virginia's defense is a little bit better than Duke. So I would lean that on that side. I don't like either team. I don't think they're used to winning. I don't think these teams are used to being in the championships. And I don't think these teams, like Virginia has a lot of pressure on their back. They have pressure to be the only team to get into the ACC, get into the playoffs from the ACC. If they don't go in, they're going to have nobody possibly from the ACC there. So everything's on their back. With that said, Duke's bad secondary, Virginia's explosive wide receivers. I would take Virginia probably on the money line and put it with something else. I wouldn't touch the spread either side on this one. If anything, I would probably lean to the over. All right, we're going to the CEO's Blueprint Parlay for y'all that rock with Jay-Z back in the day. I know some of y'all younger still rock with him. That's why it's called the Blueprint Parlay. We try to draw a blueprint, use my alt spreads, move things around. I kind of use power ratings to see what the spread should be, and then I move it to where I think they will cover at. And then that's where we kind of meet. This year we hit a couple times in the 14. These can't be hard because sometimes, like last week Cincinnati just kind of blew up the whole parlay, man. Like everything rolling good, and Cincinnati just blew up the whole parlay. So this week we're gonna take Bama 7.5. Even though I like Georgia to get the money line, Bama does stay close to teams that don't really get blown out. I think they have a good team this year. They have a real good defense, and they match up well versus Georgia. So I think they at least cover the 7. Texas Tech, I told you I like that 12.5. If I had to, I would bet it. But I do think Texas Tech at least win by a touchdown. Even if it got some voodoo and BYU and went to overtime, Texas Tech can still cover this with a touchdown in overtime. But I do think Texas Tech covers this. And like I told y'all, I think Ohio State wins. We can take this parlay, and it's plus 190. All right, next we got the CEOs Take Me Through There. Take Me Through There moneyline parlay, which hit last week, as I said at the beginning of the show, plus 147. I honestly think this might have hit 3 weeks in a row. So hopefully we can hit this 4th week. It's harder because, we only got 4 games we picking from. So sometimes these can be a little bit harder. So kind of rock with me, man. Ladies and gentlemen, don't mean to say man. I mean ladies and gentlemen. We got Ohio State money line. I told you I love that. Even though I think Bama can cover that 7, I told you I think Georgia probably win by a field goal. Maybe cover that 2.5, but even if they only won by 1 point and we miss a 2.5, I think they can get the money line win. And then Texas Tech, I do think they handle BYU. I just think BYU is too slow. I think Kirby's too smart, and I think Ohio State's too damn good. So we're going to take that plus 209, and then we're going to rock on to my best bet. We're going to go with the Ohio State Buckeyes. We're going to take Julian Sand, who kills zone defense, against a team who love to play zone, and we're going to flip that versus a dude who struggled versus man, and we're going to say Ohio State last year around this time kind of changed up some stuff that they couldn't really vibe with, and what stuff wasn't working, and they kind of went on a run. So I think Ohio State I think this year they want to prove that they're one of the best teams ever. I think they want to prove that they're a dynasty. So I really think Ohio State kind of get this win. Mendoza struggles. Mendoza throw a couple interceptions. The team speed slows them down. And Ohio State saying going to sit back, and they going to just watch this. Y'all see what these Ohio State Buckeyes receivers doing in the NFL. Y'all see what they're doing in the NFL. Come on now. I got in Jigbo on my fantasy team, and I'm murking everybody with them. Marvin Harrison looking pretty good, and you got a couple others. So we're going to take these first-round receivers against a team that just not have seen this team speed. They're going to run zones. I think they're going to run up in between those zones and just kind of mismatch, and we think we're going to get a cover on this one. I think they'll win by at least 7, but I ain't going to lie. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't win by 10. That was the show. I hope y'all rocking with me still. Thanks for the followers. I see the follower count going up. I love it. Thanks for y'all who listening to the CEO notes. I'm posting them more on TikTok some. I'm posting them on Facebook. We're trying to get the community popping. Shout out to my bro Mike. He running the Facebook page over there. Make sure y'all go to Beach Rounds of Parlays Facebook group, community group. He actually just hit a plus 1,300 college basketball parlay. We hit a plus 1,300, and I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to take credit for it. We done hit like 7 or 8 parlays already in the last week. We only been open for a week on the Facebook. We had like 7 or 8 parlays in there already. It might even be 10. But yeah, shout out to bro Mike. He hit a plus 1,300 parlay in the Facebook group. Look it up, Beach Rhymes and Parlays. We actually hit 2 parlays on the TikTok and Instagram. Look up Beach Rhymes Parlays on those. This is Beach Rhymes and Parlays. We are skiing to the money, and I am just a champ. And guess what? We done get money, boys. I want a half of them. And you know what? What we want? We want the smoke. Peace.